Oh, he did it again. There he goes. And hi, Jenny. I hope you appreciate that.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us once again. I'm going to check and see. Yes, we're good. Before we get going, just want to invite everybody to check out more about us. In case you're new to the channel, just check out evolutionaryenergyarts.com. And before we get going, I also want to thank our Patreons, because we couldn't do it without you guys. Like yesterday's video, demonetized. The whole channel over at the original channel is demonetized, and EEARTS basically is pretty much on its way to that as well. So we're going to keep doing this as long as we possibly could, as it is our mission here to help educate and also heal and help others to learn how to heal and manipulate these evolutionary energies that we find ourselves bathed in. And also do check out medicinal foods. When you use the coupon code EEA, and there's a link at the top of every video, it gets you a discount, and it does help support the channel.
It sure does. And I know a lot of people really seem on edge today. Even the dogs are a little extra on edge. And I've been hearing from you guys, there's something definitely in the air over the last 24, 48 hours that we all know it's not right. Something's about to drop.
Zeke's been following his mother around everywhere, into the bathroom, out the back door, and he's right at both of our feet right now. He's just been definitely on edge. He's sensing something. Me too. There's so much tension out there, and it looks like this crazy world, which we know, just to put it plainly, is run by a bunch of lunatics, and they're hell-bent on creating a third global conflagration. And we're looking at globe.ads Bex change. And this is basically where you can monitor all sorts of plane flights. And you might look and say, there's a lot of planes in the air. These are all just military planes. These are all military. I have it sorted so that we're not looking at civilian traffic. And it's been an interesting day. I have seen some of our big tankers up there and, circling certain areas, like going westbound, and all of a sudden, nope, they're making a turn. They're heading northbound. Now they go a little bit. They're going eastbound. They're circling, and there's such a concentration when you look at this map. I'm hit by the concentration of planes in Oklahoma. I mean, look at this. Oklahoma is like our 28th largest state in population. I think about 28th. It's got some bases there for sure, as does Texas. Look down here. Now this, as we zoom in, you can see there's tons around San Antonio, and there's tons over here by the border, north of Piedras Negras, and just south of Ciudad Acuna, I should say, more east than southerly. So there's been so many planes in the air, and we could click on them and see what they are. A lot of these are small ones. U.S. military, you see there's a whole bunch of these Raytheon T-6A Texans that have just been scouring. And, the paranoid part of me is wondering if there's, keeping an eye open for any sort of intrusions. Of course, we all know about the border and so many people coming over the border all the time illegally. But what about something else too? What about with all this military tension going on? And then over here, you see tons of activity. There's bases over here, Eglin Air Force Base. And we see also over here, Fort Rucker. So, there is just so much activity going on really across the southern tier is when I'm seeing most of this activity. So, curious. Very, very curious. I gotta wonder what's going on. And seeing a lot of them flying next to each other there. This is a Globe Masters C-17A, and there's another one flying alongside it. Well, if they're watching the southern border, it looks like the northern border's wide open.
It sure does. So this is definitely could be something that we're all feeling, as empaths that are just becoming more empathic. We can feel that other people are on edge, which just automatically puts us in their shoes. And this is what happens.
Yeah, and so, when we look over to Europe, we don't see as much activity. Of course, it might not be picking up as much as far as being monitored, but there is a lot going on. So this is from about an hour ago. They did an update 10 minutes ago. The Pentagon saying no final decision to deploy U.S. troops to Ukraine, but 8,500 soldiers are on heightened alert. And here we see the president could send up to 50,000 soldiers to NATO allies over the Ukraine invasion fears. He's going to talk to the European leaders at 3 o'clock. So that's probably happened now. We've been busy with people today as well as trying to monitor events. And we see Russian Navy warships embark on long-distance mission amid NATO tensions. Paracorvettes from Russia's Baltic fleet set sail. There's so much movement going on right now. It's just absolutely crazy. NATO announces new major deployment. It appears that diplomatic, quote-unquote, efforts are maybe being taken off the table here when we're looking at what's really going on. Russia planning lightning war to take out Ukraine's capital. This is the United Kingdom's Johnson is saying this. Boris is saying that. And we'll see. Boris is in apparent trouble over there. Now, we know it's interesting that UK dropped all their dates for men. Mm-hmm. Not the case in Canada, not the case in Australia, not the case in New Zealand. And, it's curious, too, because there's talk of him being ousted. Cindy got from the guides that there's some sort of, well, I'll let her.
It's very unusual when I asked, sorry, it's some kind of situation where it's almost something personal. There's blackmail. Somebody's using blackmail against somebody else to bring this about. So it's something very deep-seated, and somebody has something hanging over somebody's head, and this is what's happened. So I just thought that was unusual what I picked up. I am not sure about it.
Well, yeah, gosh. Okay, I'm gonna put this other item I want to mention towards the end, because at the very end we have something that's pretty interesting to share with you guys, and it suits that position better as far as the position in the video. Yep. So, military and political situation in Europe. This is from South Front, and you could see all the things that are going on in all these different areas, like Latvia and Lithuania is sending Stinger anti-aircraft missile systems to the Ukraine. Denmark is sending a frigate to the Baltic to deploy 4 F-18 fighter jets to Lithuania in support of NATO's air policing mission, I should say. As we talked about, Germany refused to supply weapons to Ukraine, but they did send a mobile field hospital. UK supplied Ukraine with anti-tank missile launchers. It just goes on and on. Netherlands sending 2 F-35 fighter aircraft to Bulgaria. France is sending troops to Romania under NATO command. Czech Republic is going to be sending artillery shells to Ukraine. Spain is sending ships to join the NATO naval forces. Now you got NATO doing exercises in the Mediterranean. Russia has stated that they might be doing some naval exercises in the Mediterranean. Oh, isn't that a recipe for oops?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to meet there. It's not like they're going to play hopscotch.
No, I'm not going to go visit the Acropolis and take in the sights of Rome. No. Absolutely not. So Estonia is sending Javelin anti-tank systems to the Ukraine. On January 23rd, more than 80 tons of U.S. weapons were transferred to Kiev, and then on the 22nd, 91 tons arrived into Ukraine. And, of course, they've initiated the voluntary departure of people. They're recommending people hit the road and get out of the area, basically. And Ireland is protesting about the Russian warship plan. Ireland says it can't stop the drills, which are going to take place in its exclusive economic zone. And these are live drills. So Russia's going to be doing drills off the Irish coast with actual weapons. And so, utilizing them. That's a message, is it not? And Washington's urging U.S. citizens to don't go vacationing in Russia now. Not a good time.
Yeah, that's right. Just stay back. Why would they say that?
And then the other more covert actions. We have Turkey hit by unprecedented power outages as Iran halts gas flows. It's not just over there. Belarusian opposition group Cyber Partisans reported an attack on the computer network of the Belarusian railways. And, there's been so much military equipment that we've seen being transferred by rail. I mean, I heard of a 2-mile-long rail convoy.
Full of equipment.
And we're hopefully going to get that video. That was where?
Texas.
In Texas, 2 miles long. Oh, that was around the Austin area, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So and then when I go back to look at this over in the U.S., and you see all this, and look at everything around. Again, Austin, San Antonio, over here towards the border, and then up. It's not really Dallas, as you could see. It's more in Wichita Falls on up into Oklahoma. This tremendous amount of military activity that's ongoing. Very, very ominous. Remember the monkeys? So, this article, and these both came out from today. This one says all of them were accounted for. I saw another one said all of them are accounted for. Some people said, no, there's one missing. This says there's one still on the run. Interesting, over here it says the CDC is monitoring local residents for cold-like symptoms following crash of semi carrying the test monkeys that were heading to Florida. Right. Now, do you remember that crazy cryptic message in Florida a couple years back? Beware, of zombies. Message that appeared in Florida. It always hit me. And then, of course, we had the people that were doing the bath salts. And I don't mean the type of bath salts that you put in the bath, which is a good idea. Put some pink Himalayan in there and some Epsom salts. That'll help. No, but then they were acting like kind of zombies. There was a couple of cases down in the Miami area of that. Was craziness going on. Many people are feeling, and the guides have shown, Cindy, going back to when this came out, going back to over 2 years ago, probably about 2 years ago now in this time frame, that when you see reports of basically things that look like the big E, EBO, and I don't mean LA, that's time to just hunker down inside, avoid contact with people as much as possible, and just ride it out, because that would be something that's super, super serious.
Right. That's at the time. And I've had a few other people have the same visions that I've had. So we got some definite corroboration on that. So, we're just sort of waiting and watching and seeing how things unfold. And in the meantime, what do? We build our immune system.
Absolutely. And we've talked about all the athletes and actors that the world has seen leave in the last, really 6 months, I think. It seems like the last 6 months things have really ramped up. And of course, we each have to make our own decisions when it comes to that. We did have a family member tell us today something very disconcerting. Yeah. Somebody that we don't know the exact age, but a family member of them just basically coughed, and there was blood that came up, and then they passed. Mm-hmm. And they were probably no older than early 40s, late 30s, early 40s, and it was just sudden, and they were here yesterday and then just gone today.
Yeah, so that's just something, I'm kind of working with this person back and forth, staying in touch with them and lending them my healing for their hearts, because this is something that is very devastating. So we're staying in touch and helping them out and seeing what comes of it.
And this is, again, why you need to have a strong, what we call in Qigong, a Wei Qi field that's very strong. And that's basically your immune system, but it can be augmented for sure through mind-body exercises like Qigong, Pranic, breathing, pranayama, and just consciously taking in the life force. Again, and as well as, gosh, so many things that can boost you. Like we take in every day turmeric and ginger, and gosh, I could have Cindy tell you the list. It's huge.
Well, I have special fish oils, that are created in a way that doesn't deplete them of their natural uses. And the ginger, the turmeric, we take, all of our B vitamins, lots of vitamin C, lots of water. We detox a lot, and it goes on and on. Really, I don't have the list in front of me, but it's a list.
Yeah, trace minerals are great. Bioplasma can help. There's so many things, and we've done so many videos on all this. This is a time when you need to be at full strength, immune system, top notch. And again, get exercise. It's so important to exercise on a daily basis. So yeah, this is definitely something that's creepy, to say the least. And here we see Freedom Over Fear, National Truckers Freedom Convoy on the way to Ottawa from all over Canada. Thousands of trucks, hundreds of thousands of people. And, this is beautiful. And this will probably get this video demonized. Yeah. Just bringing up stuff like this, automatic demonization. Yep. And again, the demons in charge are really, when you get down to it, extraterrestrial, interdimensional beings along with their puppets. But this is going on, and it's a good thing. Again, exercising our throat chakra, not staying quiet, speaking our beliefs, putting out our intentions, and just not accepting. And we see heavy rain and snow hit Pakistan, leaving at least 12 people dead. I think a lot of people are kind of waking up to the fact that there's massive changes going on. The thing that I am interested, it makes me really, hopeful, is the amount of people that are starting to just question things and not go along with an official narrative. And you could see that when you look to articles and you start reading out there, not CNN, not MSNBC and Fox News so much, but go out just one more notch out, not into the CONS piracy channels, and you see people questioning things, even on the main channels, and you see people saying things like, "Yeah, I don't think that was natural." Then we're starting to get hopeful.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing the changes need to happen, but how they happen can be, we can have our own energy put into that. We can have our own ways, and we can have our own responses, so that as things change, there's no reason for people to suffer. Really, there's not.
No. And if we were in tune again with Mother Earth, we would know when something natural was coming, and we'd move in a different direction. And, she takes care of the animals usually like that. But when we see something that doesn't have a natural signal to it, we're starting to be able to recognize that more. And I mean humanity in general. And we have emergency alerts issued, schools closed, below freezing temperatures, heavy snow hit in Greece. The tendency should be towards colder weather. Although, again, this sun cycle is vastly exceeding what was expected. And when we just look to the technology out there, we could have any sort of thing brought on us when you get down to it. We talked about Tesla, back over 100 years ago, 120-ish years ago, in New York City. He supposedly created an earthquake machine that created an earthquake way back then. And I don't doubt that technology. And then we talked about Jungian, Youngkin, who came into power and kind of reversed a lot of things that his predecessor did. And we see Virginia school boards are suing to block his order, making masks optional. And this is the governor of Virginia. So he feels like he's going more the route of Florida and Texas. And of course, there are going to be opposing forces. And we see this dark outlook, dismal NBC poll reveals most Americans think the country's going downhill and is actually lost. Yeah, I think that's pretty obvious to see, that it's deteriorated very, very fast, probably faster than most people expected.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like everything is fraying. Things are not going to be able to be put back together the way they were by any means, but then that's part of their plan too. Whenever they take our rights away, or whenever they do this or put this tax on that, it never goes back, ever.
No, we talked about the IRS, now facial recognition to file. We were just talking to somebody that does books, and they were saying how hard it is getting to be, and there's more hoops to jump through. And then you wonder why number 46, what was one of the first things he did? He doubled the size of the IRS. Doubled. So obviously, the machine wants more of your money, which is your time, your life. You're working to feed this machine that most people say is horrible, totally lost, not doing the right things. Right. And, right now, going to send off our family members, abroad to once again bleed for the machine. Right. This is what's needed, is this understanding of how things are really working and how they're not intended even to be for the good of the masses.
Exactly. These are things that are just, they're making things so unnatural, and we need to be able to blend more in with the planet. Every day we should be striving. Just do a little something to make yourself more in harmony with the planet, even if that's just being deliberate about eating your vegetables, or being deliberate about a salad, or being deliberate about drinking some water with a lemon squeeze in it. Just do something.
Absolutely. It's that old saying, fool me once and fool me twice,
Yeah.
At some point we have to wake up and say, hey, enough's enough. And, it's just the whole system. It's just like a casino in Vegas. Mm-hmm. Absolutely fixed that the house always wins. And the masses always lose. And here we see a colossal triangular UFO recorded near the sun. And this was recorded by NASA. Look at this thing. Pretty impressive. Nassim Haramid, one of the top researchers of our generation, stated this is absolute proof of the fact that aliens are using our sun to travel around space. And again, we saw that Oumuamua, I think that's what it was called, come in interstellar, right? Now, was it a big old asteroid? No. We got that this was most definitely a reptilian ship. It came in, it used the sun to speed up and slingshot and then go off at a different angle. This is just, this is just what it is. This is part of our reality. Now, this is interesting because we asked the guides about this one.
So this is curious. It's not necessarily from our planet. It has more of an affiliation toward Mars. Now, the beings that are on it, there's definitely reptilian, and there's humans, but these are humans that are created to live in this environment. So they're not humans that you and I would know looking at each other. They're altered. They're different. There's something about them that allows them to stay on these ships and function on these ships. And while I was getting information, for some reason, I don't know, Venus drops in my head. So there's also an element of that, but I don't understand it.
Yeah, in Venus, what we've gotten is most of the beings on Venus are very benevolent and more towards the fifth density for the most part. Mm-hmm. But there are actually third density beings on Venus as well, which, according to the science that they tell us, is an impossibility. but that just again shows that they've distorted things to the degree to keep this all secret. But yeah, it's interesting because Cindy was getting that this is probably a ship that was made on Mars, and this is really very large.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. It wasn't created here on this planet. It is some kind of a what do they call it? A patrol. It's a type of patrol unit.
Yeah, so very interesting. Definitely reptilians and humans on there. So one of the things that we've gotten to is, our bodies are adapted to Earth. And yeah, the GG came from Mars to here, and they were able to make that transition. And the Anunnaki use the GG because the GG are like us. They're third density. The Anunnaki themselves are fourth density. It might be about another generation before the Anunnaki and us are on the same level playing field, where they would be able to show themselves without any sort of change in their vibratory frequency. They would appear very solid. This is why when we see the reliefs that are thousands of years old, it's as if the Anunnaki were 3D and we were 3D. Well, at that time we were all on the same, vibratory scale, so to speak. And then we dropped lower than them, and we dropped out of that, lower 4D into 3D, and now we're on the return path up, and now we're very close to basically becoming physical to them becoming physical to us. And it is possible that some people with good perceptive abilities could actually sight Nibiru. There are other planets out there. There are many other planets in our solar system that are lying just outside of our visible spectrum.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There's a lot of them. So everything that we're being told, everything that we're growing up with and we're being taught is very deliberate to keep us inside of this box so that they can make sure they control our energies, because that's how they keep all of their mansions and keep all of their affairs in order as long as we're under control.
Absolutely. So again, most people now don't believe the mainstream media. I think the last poll I saw was like 90%, 85 or 90% did not believe the mainstream media. But yet we still have 60% professing a belief in the mainstream media as far as a religious point of view. And it's one of those things where you got to really kind of look at it. It's pretty obvious to me that if we are in their sphere of influence and their system, and they control the media and they control the corporations, of course they're going to control the philosophy and the religion. Of course. And then when you look and you see, well, King James, 33rd degree Mason, in charge of all the Masonic lodges in Scotland and England, and you realize that Constantine the Great was a Roman Empire, a Roman emperor in charge of the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire basically was an extension of the Sumerian Empire, and it just goes on down the line. Now we've gotten that there's 4 main separate Anunnaki individuals or families, so to speak, that control the Igigi, that control the secret societies, that control the political and religious structure on Earth. And so there's 4 different ones, and this is their nature. This is how they are. I mean, they're always fighting. And if you look back to the legends of the Sumerian city-states, they had their own deities, and different city-states basically supported different deities. And they actually believed the deities resided in their temples unless they were away somewhere else or if they were off planet. And yet they were always fighting amongst themselves. And so this is still going on. As above, so below. They still fight amongst themselves. They're very fratricidal, but then at the same time, they do have a leader over them. And it's interesting, too, because when we look to, like, the leadership on Nibiru, it wasn't Anu. It wasn't Anu at all, ever, really. Anu is not the top of that pyramid. There's another being above that. And of course, we've talked about this AI black dragon thing that was created by the Draco that basically went beyond the Draco's ability to control. And, now controls the Draco, now controls all of them. And all those that buy into this Borg, this artificial intelligence driven matrix. And so that's what's planned for the denizens of Earth, is to be absorbed into that matrix. And they're allowing you to choose to do that. And you might not understand that you're choosing to do that according to your religious beliefs or according to decisions, yay or nay, on certain things that are being put out there across the land.
Right. They do it under the guise of, oh, we're helping you. Oh, this is being convenient, So they do it under those terms. So we unknowingly, willingly walk into this stuff.
Absolutely. So you have to be very, very clear on where you're giving your power away to. And we need to claim our own sovereignty.
Right, we do. And one thing that I'm really leery of is whenever our leaders give us anything for free. That really makes me nervous because there's payment somehow, some way. Somebody's paying.
Well, we know that the army gave blankets away for free to certain natives.
Yep.
And, there was a certain thing in those blankets, and then the natives were no more.
Right. So really watch that if you see something come across your screen. Oh, it's free. Order now. Just be careful.
Recognize the system in place is an ancient one. It goes back thousands of years. And the ultimate rulers of this world, if you want to call it Satan ruling the world, Satan means the adversary, and most definitely there is an adversary to humanity and to everything that's alive on this planet that has been controlling this planet through this dark matrix. But the thing is, once we recognize it and we stand up against it, we have the ability to go beyond the lower astral realm, beyond lower 4D, and they're stuck. They cannot move upwards with their frequency, which is of a lower nature. It doesn't matter how good their technology is, they can't move any higher.
Right. That's the thing, is they choose to be there, but what they want as conveniences and what they want as luxury holds them where they're at, where we have the ability to be sovereign and free and go beyond that.
Yes. So again, guys, be prepared for anything, but I think the biggest preparations, besides obviously, taking care of the basics, food, water, everything that you need to stay healthy, is really the spiritual side of things. Yeah. It really is. So be prepared in that way above all. As always, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.